Hello, Amy Elizabeth, somatic and intuitive healer here. We have a beautiful full moon tomorrow, January 6th, in Cancer. Now, the time that that moon will peak is 5:07 a.m. I'm sorry, 5:07 p.m. Central Daylight Time. So adjust for your time zone. It happens at 16 degrees of Cancer. Now, that 16 degrees of Cancer, if you're familiar with your chart, you can pop on, give your chart a look, and follow along here to kind of see what areas of your life this lunation is illuminating. The first piece, Cancer is represented by the crab. So when we think of crabs, well, when I think of crabs, I think of their shells and their pincers. They are well armored. They've got their defenses out and they're protecting their vulnerabilities. They're protecting their soft, gooey inside. Cancer is a water sign. It's about flowing water. It's about the initiation of the movement of emotion. Water is associated with emotion. And of the three water signs in the zodiac, Cancer is flowing water. It's our ability to move and be present and allow our emotions to flow through us rather than them becoming frozen. Scorpio in its shadow or on fire, explosive. Scorpio in its shadow. Scorpio in its light is passionate and amazing and deep, and takes its time. It also isn't the vaporous inability to grasp onto our feelings that water vapor can have in Pisces. This is flowing water. It wants to move, it wants to feel all the things. And in its light, Cancer is not afraid of feeling those feels. Now, yes, some of you may have Cancer suns or Cancer moons, like I do, or Cancer risings. All of us, I think it's such an important thing to say. Every single one of us has some Cancer energy because, well, for years and years and years, we have been focused on sun sign astrology, which just looks at the sun placement. That's like this much of the information. So when I talk about Cancer, everybody has Cancer in your chart and where it shows up in your world. If you want to know more, contact me and get a reading, and we'll look at things and we'll dive in. If you're a woman, join my women's circle. That's a super fun way to do it. Now, the other piece of this moon is that it is conjunct, which means it's sitting right next to Pallas Athena, who is also in Cancer. And Pallas Athena is a warrior. She's a strategist. And in her light, she's wisdom. And wisdom is earned from understanding our feelings, from being curious, from being willing to explore. So when I look at this moon and feel into this moon conjunct Pallas, I see, oh, where is our self-righteousness getting in the way of the flow of our vulnerability and the strength of our vulnerability and the wisdom of our vulnerabilities? It's really those pieces. It's, can you tap into and take off the next layer of armor? This moon is illuminated. It's a full moon. It's shining and saying, hey, here is this next piece of armor. And it's tied into, it's conjunct the ways in which you're self-righteous, the ways in which, and we all do it, we say, well, that is the way I've always done it. And that's the way I'm going to continue to do it because it works for me. Great. I love that you found something that works for you. And what if you got curious, and what if you tried something new and that something new worked even better for you than the thing that you've been doing? What if that trying something new opened up whole new worlds of what is accessible to you? Which brings me to the sextile of Moon and Uranus conjunct Kali. So Kali is the destroyer of the ego. If you see a picture of Kali, she often has a severed head in one hand and a sword in the other hand because she is the destroyer of ego. And ego, of course, drives our self righteousness. So, how do we lop that off? How do we dismember that head um, and move in a form of rebellion? And for many people, feeling the feels is a rebellion that can look small, but is really, really huge. We have been really conditioned, especially um, older generations, say Gen X and older, that men feel this way and people in women's bodies feel this way, men's bodies feel this way, and these are the spectrum of emotions that you're allowed to feel based on the body type that we have assigned you. And when we open up to a bigger picture way of doing things, we are all human and we have access to all of these feelings. And it can be a huge, huge rebellion for, say, somebody in a man's body who has been told he has this set of emotions to move outside of that set of emotions. And vice versa. It can be a big rebellion for a person in a woman's body to move outside of the set of emotions that she's been told that she's allowed to have. And for those who say are constantly spilling their emotions all over everybody else, it can be a big, big rebellion to be like, oh, I am actually responsible for how I'm feeling. I don't need to outsource this all the time. So there's a balance that we're seeking. And the nice thing about this Cancer moon is it's square Libra. So Libra is seeking balance. And how does it push against seeking balance and initiating a level of balance amongst things? So Uranus and Kali are in Taurus. They're asking us to really take into account our resources and how we receive our resources and work with our resources, and how do we value our resources? Can we value de-armoring? Can we value our own vulnerabilities? Can we value getting out of our own way so we can move into a new way of being? And remember that we don't need those defenses, which is where Isis comes into play. Now, Isis is up in in Virgo, thinking that the scorpion portion of her tail, but she's up in Virgo right now, which puts her in another earth sign. She's very grounded, and she wants us to remember that we came into our fabulous meat suits. We came into this experience on this planet to learn and to grow and to feel the things, because feeling those things are a part of our learning opportunities. And we have beautiful learning opportunities here when we can just lean into them. So she is there to remind us to remember that there is power, there's personal power in seeing ourselves and allowing ourselves to be seen. And yes, I understand those vulnerabilities and the self-righteousness and the armor are a result of wounding. And this moon is square Chiron in Aries. So it is going to potentially push against our collective wounds. It's going to shine a light. And with a square, that 90-degree angle does that light get around that corner. So we can see the collective wounds. So we can see the ways that we're not showing up. And there is no slowing things down or changing what is going on. We have been asking for change and wanting change, and we're in it. We're in this perfect storm of the end of a 26,000 year cycle and the death of an astrological age with Pisces, while we're birthing Aquarius in another like 135, 36 years. We're in these massive, massive chime changes. Pluto is going to be changing signs and dipping in to give us a preview of what Aquarius is going to look like before he steps back into Capricorn to really bring home the lessons of how top down authority maybe not be the best way to go before he moves into Aquarius to move us into a whole new way of being for the next 2 decades. So, and that's just a small cycle because we've got Jupiter changing signs, we've got Saturn changing signs. There's a dance right now that's going on, and so the energies are going to keep asking more of us. Can we make the changes internally so that they can be reflected externally to meet them? This medicine wheel walk, we're shedding. I've been talking about the fact that it may be January 6th. For me, this is not the new year. This is not the time to be planting things shamanically. This is the time of being in the north, of letting things fall away, of really honing down and being in winter, recognizing that we're in a time of deep hibernation. I look outside because there's so much snow. We just got another mega snow. So there's that Chiron and Aries square this moon, and the stories that we may have around the reasons that we can't be vulnerable. Um, Everybody has been hurt. In my 15 years of doing the work I do, I have not once met a single person, either as a client, as a student, as myself stepping in as a teacher, as me being a student and being in circle with other people that don't have wounds and hurts. And this is that Chiron piece, that wound, that hurt. And the moon is saying, hey, look, you're just like everybody else. And it's not that your wounds, there's no competition, but our bravery is to bring ourselves forward, to bring our inner light forward to shine, which is the Vesta trine with the moon. Vesta is our inner flame, and she can only burn at her most brightest when we are our most fullest selves. So Vesta's over in Pisces, and Vesta in Pisces feels like she's reminding us that when one of us burns bright, it invites and it gives space for the rest of us to burn bright, because Pisces is how deeply connected we are all. And Vesta, Pisces, is also the basement or the attic. It's the subconscious space, the spaces where we hide things. So Vesta can bring that flame into those shadowy, unconscious places and really light those spaces up to bring more in. Do, 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 do. Then the kind of the last piece of the astrology I want to touch on is the morning after the moon. So I said the moon peaks at 5:07 on the 6th, and at 6:13 a.m. on the 7th, Mercury moves into the heart of the sun. So during the full moon, Mercury is what's called combust. It is in the turbulence of the heat around the sun. But at 6:13, Mercury is going to move into the sun. And now, because Mercury is retrograding and the sun is continuing in the only way it knows, which is to move forward, their Cazimi is going to be really short. It's going to be from 6:13 a.m. to 7:55 a.m. Central Daylight Time. So adjust for your time zone. This, what, about hour and a half period is going to give us really, really deep clarity. So if the moon shining doesn't give you an understanding, it may show you some things, and it's going to show you some things that go back actually a year and a half that you've been consistently working on. I'll be doing another video about that in the next couple days to talk about the bigger moon cycle that we're in. Just keep in mind that that Mercury Cazimi time on morning of the 7th maybe, and it's a Saturday morning, so sleep in, be in that dreamy, snoozy spot that is called lunar consciousness, and see what comes in that time of clarity? Like, really, okay, the moon, the Cancer moon showed me that these are the places I armor. So I'm going to wait for Mercury Cazimi to give me more clarity and more words. And like any dreaming, allow things to unfold. Um, According to a professor of neuroscience, Yorio Busaki, I hope I didn't slaughter your name, sir, at NYU Neuroscience Institute. The primordial resting state of human consciousness is lunar consciousness. By default, our brain is attuned to darkness. In the absence of external stimuli, all of these amazing artificial lights, our brains naturally reside in dream time patterns of neurological activity related to states of sleep or deep, deep meditation. So when I say on Saturday morning, stay in that snoozy spot or meditate or just be in your lunar consciousness, this is why. It is in this rich terrain that spontaneous, synchronized neurological activity arises from nothing. It is the dark, fertile soil from which our creativity arises, the dreams and ideas that are birthed from a dimension beyond our consciousness and our control. Our lunar consciousness is a receptor from places outside of us, and really not even places outside of us, from other dimensions deep within us, from our own deep knowing with a capital K knowing. So, hit the subscribe button, like, share me with your people, leave questions, comments, requests. I love hearing from you and interacting with you. If you want to learn more about how this particular lunation or the dark moon in Aquarius on the 21st is landing in your chart and your life, and you identify as female or are in a female body, reach out and join my women's circle, or reach out and set up an astrology reading where we can go into this. Either way, in the women's circle, you get really focused astrology on this lunation for your personal chart so you understand the areas of your life that are being illuminated more clearly. And I will talk to you soon.